Hello, my name is Alyssa Eichler. I work for the Vermont Solid Waste Program, and I'm going to go over Vermont's Single-Use Products Law. This law was passed in May of 2019, and it's the most comprehensive law of this sort in the country to date. The reason this law was passed was to, quote, to mitigate the harmful effects of single-use products on Vermont's municipalities and natural resources and relieve the pressure for landfills to manage the disposition of single-use products. But Vermont is not alone in passing this type of law. Specifically, bans on plastic bags have already been enacted in more than 380 cities around the United States, plus a half dozen or so other states. And plastic bag bans already exist in more than 65 countries around the world. There are also bans on expanded polystyrene, which is commonly known as styrofoam, in more than a dozen cities in the US, as well as the states of Maryland and Maine. And bans on plastic straws, similarly in more than a dozen cities in the US and California and Hawaii. So the Vermont law is fairly broad in the types of establishments that are covered under it. So it includes all retail stores of any type, all restaurants and cafeterias of any type, and yes, this does include farmers markets or food trucks or events, and it also includes food or shopping delivery services. So even if the point of sale isn't a physical cash register in the store itself, it still applies under this law. And the state law supersedes any local ordinances. So there were a handful of cities, for instance, that had already passed their own bans on plastic bags, but the state law will be one uniform law across the state. And the law goes into effect on July 1st, 2020. There is one inventory exemption written into the law. So stores or food service establishments may continue using any of the banned items until July 1st of 2021. If these items were actually purchased before the law went into or before the law was passed, which was May 15th of 2019. Now I'm going to go through the different components of the law one by one, starting with the bag ban portion. So the law states that stores or food service establishments may no longer provide single-use plastic carry-out bags to customers at the point of sale. And this was specifically written to include all types of plastic bags. So it doesn't matter how thick the bag is, it is banned under this law. And similarly, it doesn't matter what the material of the bag is. So there are compostable or bio-based type plastic bags in existence, and all of these are also banned under this new law. Of course, there are some exceptions. So plastic bags will still be allowed for things that customers use to contain loose objects within a store. So that could be bags for produce or bulk items, bakery goods, candy, cards, hardware, etc., as well as frozen foods, meat, fish, or flowers. So again, these are bags that a customer would use to contain items within the store. They would bag it themselves. They would then bring the bagged item to the point of sale where it would then be put in another carry-out bag. And the law also does not include dry cleaning or large garment bags or bags for prescription medications. The paper bag component of the law states that a store or food service establishment may provide a paper carryout bag to customers at the point of sale, but they must charge a fee of 10 cents per bag. And again, there are some exceptions. So the fee need not be charged for small or lightweight bags. The cutoff point that was written into the law is on basis weight. So the fee does not need to be charged for bags with a basis weight of 30 pounds or less. So if basis weight isn't something you're familiar with, it's a descriptor that describes how heavy duty or how thick the paper is. So it's not a characteristic of a specific bag, like how much it can carry, but rather how much a standard ream of paper weighs. And so for that reason, generally, this refers to bags that are about shorter than 10 inches, as opposed to a standard large sort of grocery shopping paper bag. There is no recycled content requirement for the paper bags. All right, so just to go over the bag portion of the law again. So if a store or a food service establishment is providing bags to customers at the point of sale, the bags cannot be plastic bags of any thickness or type. And if it's a paper bag, there must be a 10-cent fee. Bags that are still allowed are bags that are used by customers inside the store to contain loose objects, or specifically if they're paper bags, a small paper bag with a basis weight of 30 pounds or less and approximately shorter than 10 inches. So for this paper bag fee, the 10-cent fee per bag is required, and the retailer keeps the fee, so it could offset the cost of the paper bags, or they can use it for anything else they choose. The fee is required for all customers, including SNAP beneficiaries, and retailers cannot waive or reimburse the fee. The reason for this is partially to have a consistent implementation of the law across all retail establishments across the state, and also because the legislature was really aiming to reduce single-use bag use. So in some other states and countries that implemented a ban on plastic bags but did not put a fee on paper bags, what they saw was just a shift from plastic to paper rather than an overall reduction in single-use bag use. So that's what Vermont is hoping to see. And so instead, Vermont is hoping to have a culture of customers bringing their own bags. So reusable bag is defined in the law as one that is designed for multiple uses, has stitched handles, is machine washable, or made of polypropylene. And yes, it's always important for everyone using reusable bags to clean their bags often. We do have this little poster available as a download on our website. And we have a lot of other resources on our website, which is vtrecycles.com, including just a general summary and FAQ sheet, which basically covers everything that I'm talking about now, but in a printable format. We also have a sheet that's just tips and FAQs for reusable bags specifically, and this includes the how to clean them tips. We also have some posters and signs that are available for download, and this little double-sided sheet that talks about pros and cons of single-use plastic versus reusable bags. All right, so to shift to the next component of the law is a ban on plastic straws. And so this states that food service establishments may no longer automatically provide plastic straws to all customers. So there are a couple little nuanced exceptions here. So one is that any care facilities such as hospitals, nursing homes, etc., may continue using plastic straws for everybody. And any food service establishment can provide or can still have plastic straws behind the counter because any customer may request a straw, no questions asked for any reason. And of course, food service establishments may provide straws made of alternative materials. So this could be other single-use types such as paper, or it could be reusable straws such as metal, or they may choose to serve drinks with no straws at all. The next piece is a ban on plastic stirrer sticks. And this is just very simply that food service establishments may no longer provide plastic stirrer sticks for beverages. They may, of course, provide an alternative material such as wooden stirrers or reusable spoons. So the final portion of the law is a ban on expanded polystyrene food or beverage containers. So again, this is commonly known as styrofoam, and this portion of the law has sort of two parts. So one is that food or beverages cannot be served in expanded polystyrene containers, and the other is that stores cannot sell food or beverage containers that are made of expanded polystyrene. And food and beverage containers are pretty broad, so plates, cups, trays, egg cartons are included, takeout containers, etc. There are some exceptions, of course. So expanded polystyrene food and beverage containers are still allowed for packing uncooked meat, fish, poultry, or seafood. And it's also still allowed for products that are packaged out of state and brought into Vermont. And conversely, it's still allowed for products that are packaged in Vermont but are actually brought out of state for sale. There are a lot of alternatives to expanded polystyrene food and beverage containers. Of course, we would love to see an increase in reusable containers, such as establishments providing reusables if customers are eating and drinking on the premises, and even when it makes sense to do so, to encourage customers to bring their own containers, like bringing their own container to put their own leftovers in after an unfinished meal. And then, of course, there are many, many types of sort of takeout containers that are made from materials other than expanded polystyrene. So on our website, again, vtrecycles.com, we have a document that is sort of sustainability tips for food and beverage containers. If you want to think about different aspects like recyclability or recycled content when you're choosing what type of container to purchase, this could be a good reference. So now just a summary of what exactly you as a store or food service establishment need to do to be in compliance with this new law. So at the bare minimum, if you provide single-use carry-out bags to your customers, they cannot be made of plastic. If they're made of paper, you must charge a 10-cent fee per bag to all customers. If you provide straws with beverages, you can automatically provide a plastic straw to all customers, although you can have plastic straws available upon request, and you can provide an alternative material straw. If you provide stir sticks with beverages, they cannot be made of plastic. And if you provide food and beverage containers in sort of takeout style, they cannot be made from expanded polystyrene. And this is whether you're providing the food and beverage in the container or if you're selling the container itself. A full ban on expanded polystyrene food and beverage containers. And in all cases, we're really hoping for voluntary compliance, but we do follow up on complaints. And there are ways of going the extra mile. So instead of replacing plastic bags with paper, we could have an encouragement of a bring your own bag, or other creative solutions for packing items, such as using cardboard boxes. Instead of replacing plastic straws with another single-use material, you could use reusable straws, and same with stir sticks. Instead of being another single-use item, they could be reusable. And of course, where applicable, the same for food and beverage containers. And this is all important because Vermont actually has goals related to waste. And one is for an overall reduction in the amount of waste that Vermont generates. So these little pieces of waste reduction actually add up to make a really big difference. So what this law is hoping for is not a switch from plastic bags to paper, but from plastic bags to reusable bags. Not a switch from single-use expanded polystyrene food and beverage containers to another single-use type, but where it makes sense to do so, a switch to reusables. And yes, with the full acknowledgement that there are many instances where having a disposable container is just what needs to happen. So if you have any questions, you can reach me, Alyssa Eichler, either through email or with telephone, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks very much.